Okay, my name is Jeff Morgan. I am from Dallas, Texas, and currently today I'm down here in Waco, Texas, and I'm down here for a friend. He's in a Title 4D court. What's interesting about this situation here is that he did have a case with the Court of Appeals, the 13th District Court in Corpus Christi, Edinburgh, and he was trying to appeal a decision that was made regarding his divorce and the various judgments that were made. It was an unsuccessful appeal. That'll be another topic another time here. But it came down because, by and large, what's taken place here is that my friend Chad is in the court right now. He's been maligned publicly. He's been maligned in the court. He's been even maligned here. And maybe he hasn't been given the opportunity to present the other side of the story. But for whatever reason, his children have been kidnapped from him. He no longer has access to his children. He still has to pay child support. His Title 4D court is concerned about one thing: pay money or go to jail. Now, I drove down here from Dallas. It was about a 2-hour trip because of the rain that was here. It was very dangerous, treacherous trip, actually. I wasn't quite expecting that.
I saw it on the radar.
Yeah, it was something else. But I came down here, and then I was told, hey, don't bother coming in. You're not allowed in the court. And I started to turn back, and I said, wait a minute here. I'm coming back down here because in our Texas Constitution, Article 1, Section 13, it says, the courts shall remain open. So we have the constitutional right, we have the constitutional duty, we have the privilege. I believe we have the obligation to observe our courts to make sure that they are doing things justly. We should not be having star chambers. Courts should not be star chambers, even Title 4D courts. So anyway, at about approximately 1:40 p.m. today, a little bit before 1:40 p.m., I tried to enter the court, and I was told that I was not allowed to enter the court. And I talked with the Deputy Furrh, F-U-R-R-H. He was the first one that told me I was not allowed to do so, and I informed him about my objection because as an independent member of the media, I wanted to be able to follow this. I wanted to be able to follow up on this case that was presented, again, at the Court of Appeals, the 13th District Court in Corpus Christi, Edinburgh. I wanted to see what was going on in these courts. I've actually seen a couple of things at various times. I wanted to see what happens here, and if any type of justice is taking place, or if these courts are still going to be dispensing injustice, as is frequently the case. Anyway, after Deputy Furrh, F-U-R-R-H, told me that I could not come in, and I informed him that he got another deputy came. That deputy was Deputy Poston, P-O-S-T-O-N, P-O-S-T-O-N. And I was informed that Judge Phillip Arrien has a standing order. And they said, well, it's not really a written order. It's kind of like his instructions that if you are not a witness in this case, in the Title 4D case, or if you are not a person who's going to be being tried before the court, you are not allowed in. You are not allowed in. And again, this completely violates Article 1, Section 13 of the Texas State Constitution. So I did get them on record. I believe I have some audio of that as well. I'll have to go see when I get back home. But anyway, this is a very big issue right now because our courts right now are taking fathers out of children's lives, and mothers too at various times. But our courts, especially our family court systems, our Title 4D courts, they are courts of injustice, and I would say so much as say courts of iniquity, courts of immorality, courts of destruction. And what I have right here, I have Chad's father. Chad's father, Larry Kors. So, Larry, tell us about what you know about what Chad has been going through. I mean, you've been with him. The people that know Chad do not believe the reports that they're reading about him.
I know. Everyone that's read the documents, the court transcripts, you name it, can't believe that that's happened to him in court.
Right.
And then, when all the documents were sent to appeals court, and they basically turned around saying, yes, this woman was violated and this and that happened, and he hurt his children, and it was all hearsay.
Right. There was no
witnessing.
No witnesses, no evidence whatsoever.
And he questioned her in the trial.
Yeah.
About, do you have any witnesses? Do you have any proof? Do you have anything? And she says, my testimony is my word, and that's it. That's all I need. My testimony.
And it's not just that, but I mean, I saw what the way the Court of Appeals ruled on this, and they said the judge has a wide range of discretion, and we have to apply his direction in the widest possible way that he's done the right thing.
Oh, and they also criticized him over stuff that was hearsay from his wife.
Right.
from the hearing.
Right.
No witnesses, and he was defamed by the three women justices down there in Corpus Christi.
Right. You know, and I saw this because I was talking with Chad on the way down. Maybe you were in the car with Chad, weren't you?
Yes.
And I said, boy, they don't put you in a favorable light, do they? I mean, if you read what they put down here, you would say, man, keep that person away from kids forever.
Yeah.
But I've known Chad, others have known Chad, his co-workers have worked with him, you're his father. This is not Chad, is it?
Nope, it's not Chad.
So you're...
He's never had a problem with the law, a perfect student in school, and he treats everyone with respect.
Right.
Even his children.
Right.
In fact, he was held back from being a father most of the time.
Right.
So I shouldn't say all that, but...
no, it's true. It's absolutely true.
The way I raised my children was a lot different than her ideas of raising children.
Right.
And that's what caused some of the problems.
So I don't know if you're aware of this, but a few years ago I went down to Chad's place, his house, when he still had the house.
Yes.
Before the house was stolen from him by the court.
Yeah, I remember that.
And illegally sold, as far as I am aware.
Yeah.
But I went down there because I had talked with Chad, or somebody made me aware of it. So I came down here. I still have that video. I haven't put it out yet. I've held it for several years. And I just could not believe the stuff that was going on, that it appeared that she got away with.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And it seemed to be not just illegal, but, well, I shouldn't say not just illegal, but criminal.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And when you lie in court, what do you call it? You know?
Well, we call it perjury, but the secret about family courts is that perjury never, ever gets punished. Oh, we're going to talk about how we're going to be tough on perjury, but perjury is commonly done. It's widespread.
And it's also set up, according to the judges, that it's the best interest of the children. And so, children need both parents.
Children need both parents.
Whether they're living in one house or two houses, they need both parents.
Absolutely.
And
so
he misses the hell out of his children.
Yeah.
I mean, it's, I hate using the word hell, but it's like been hell for him and us.
It has been hell. It has been. Yeah, I was going to ask you about your part, because as a grandfather, how long has it been since you've seen your grandchildren?
I see the oldest boy, he comes around, and he's trying to make life on his own, and I get to see him. His oldest daughter moved in with us at the beginning of last summer and stayed all the way to the end of the summer, and there was something, she wouldn't even speak to her mother when she was living there, hardly, and she had nothing but hateful things to say about her mother. I shouldn't be saying it because it'd probably get her in trouble. Yeah.
No, I've heard a lot of things. I've heard that even the church got involved, and the church actually did not stand for what you would consider to be.
Oh, yeah. They, in fact, they took Carla's word, and the pastor there at that church told they have a gun committee, basically, guards.
Right.
Armed guards at that church. And they were all told, don't let Chad in this church.
And Chad had been a deacon in the church, is that correct?
Yes, a deacon, everything else.
Yeah.
That's why he left the church, is because of, that was before he was aware all this went on.
Right, right. And that's what I've been finding as well, is that a lot of churches do not understand how destructive this is toward the people in their church. And they take to, it's almost like they've been brainwashed by culture, by the family so-called law industry. And as soon as somebody says something, it's kind of like, oh, we have to agree with that. It's not biblical. It often skewers a person's reputation.
I didn't see him.
Well, that's good. There's a whole lot of it. I mean, I've seen some of the transcripts in the past, and the corruption is embedded in the system. And in many instances, even though they talk about discretion, when I've read what this thing right here says, this opinion, I am shocked that this is considered discretion. When they're showing, to me, it's blatant favoritism. It's affirming a bias that a judge may have. It's allowing an attorney.
It's almost like they didn't read
Yeah.
the transcript from that trial.
Yeah.
It's almost like they didn't read, but just some of the key things.
Right, right, right.
It's just like,
and again, I'll be talking about this a little bit later on.
I was praying and hoping that that would turn things around. And
Yeah.
I was shocked when I saw that decision.
So I will say that we had another case recently up in Fort Worth, and I don't know if you've heard about this or not, but there was a father whose son was dying of cancer. He was 14 years old.
Yeah.
And the judge said you can have 2 15-minute FaceTime calls with your son.
I know, I saw that.
And you know what? The public opinion, the public pressure got to the judge, it appears, because that got changed. Now, the son died a week and a half ago. And there is a documentary coming out about this, but you know, it is a shame that in Texas we have to have these shocking cases. These cases that should shock the hearts and the minds and the conscience of any living, sensible, moral being.
I know. I would have never thought this would happen to my family.
Right.
You know, it's just like,
yeah.
You know, the stuff that was said. I mean, she said stuff about me, my wife.
So the lying was more than just against Chad.
Oh yeah. She wanted to make sure that children shouldn't even be around any courses.
Yeah.
You know, and they're just like, oh, darn.
Yeah.
I watched those children on how many times so she could go on a little trip with her parents up to Arkansas and places.
Yeah.
All the other, and it's just like I never said no to nothing.
Yeah.
Anything that woman wanted.
Yeah. Yeah. So
I was just so eager to have some time with them because she would only feed the children to us when she needed us.
Right. Right. But you know what? And I think we've all lived through various aspects of that. But the reality is, the fact that we can do something for our children or our grandchildren brings us great pleasure and great joy.
Oh, yeah.
And even if it's only every so often, it still brings us that tremendous joy. Is there anything you'd like to say about this? Because I'm going to continue on here, but I mean, you have been involved with this for what, 4 years, 5 years?
It seemed like a lifetime.
Seems like a lifetime. And right now, you've only seen one of your grandchildren.
Yeah, and last summer, well, actually, we had another visit, but I can't mention that one.
Yeah.
It was a 10-minute visit.
So let me ask another question then. From what you've seen happen to your son, do you have any trust at all in the judicial system in Texas? Not a single bit. Now, are you a radical? Or are you just like a normal person that says, look, I want to trust the government, I want to trust our courts?
I might be a radical later on. They're probably going to raid my home later on when they see it, but I don't care anymore.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. I want my family back partially.
Yeah.
If, you know, I'd even take daughter-in-law back.
Yeah.
I don't hate her, you know.
Yeah.
I don't have hate. I just don't understand why she had to do what she did.
Yeah. Yeah. So once again, this is Larry. Thank you so much for being here. What we are going to be doing, we will be filing. I'm going to be putting the video up online. I will be sending it to the Attorney General's office. It will go to other places too. Again, the individuals that were involved here are Deputy Furrh, F-U-R-R-H, and Deputy Poston, P-O-S-T-O-N. They basically said that they had to follow the instructions, the, I believe, unconstitutional instructions that violate our Texas Constitution, Article 1, Section 13 about the Open Courts Doctrine. I believe they're in complete violation of our Constitution. And yet for them, and I'm not holding them, I'm just saying that what they've done, they have said that they have to follow instructions that violate the Constitution, means that the judge has discretion to throw out the Constitution. As I've said many times, you have no constitutional protections in family court.
Well, and even those deputies, it's not, you know, their oath is to protect the Constitution and their constituents.
You make a very good point.
They need to stand up themselves.
They actually do.
Along with our sheriffs and everything else. They need to stand up.
So basically, I mean, I guess if we take this far enough, we could almost say that if the judge is committing illegal actions and stuff like that, perhaps he should be arrested.
Yes.
And tried.
Oh yes.
Yeah. Instead of being given the discretion, the immunity to do whatever he wants to.
Well, just like the one that made the decision on Chad's final divorce.
Tell me about that.
He's had, I've found at least 6 wives that he's had over the years, and he's making decisions on divorce. He's an expert at divorce.
Well, you know, let's have his name too.
Judge Hodges.
Judge Hodges, how about that?
He was run off out of this county for, well, at least I call it run off. Some people might have just said he decided to retire, but he couldn't run for office again. Yeah. For election issues. Yeah, and I think that there's got to be some type of consequence to this type of bad behavior by our judges. Often they're being allowed to retire and they get their retirement benefits, they get their pensions. I believe that they should actually be
appear, and that we should have the ability to say, I'm sorry, your pension has now been denied.
Yeah.
You know, you have committed illegal actions from the bench. The area that we should be trusting the law the most, we should be trusting our judiciary, and yet they are perverting justice. And you know in the Old Testament what God thinks about the perversion of justice.
Oh, yeah.
It comes under harsh terms. And just because you have a Title 4D court at 420 North 6th Street here down in Waco, Texas, Judge Phillip Arrien, and evidently being supported by two deputies, Deputy Furrh and Deputy Poston. Now, I wish all of you the best, but I also, Deputy Furrh and Deputy Poston, as you know, I will be asking for your sworn affidavits. You've been informed, and that's where I am. So, Larry, thank you so much for being here. I wish all the best for Chad. Please let me know if they decide to try to incarcerate him or anything like that, because these courts are courts of injustice. We should not be having debtors' prisons here.
From what I understood, his summons here mentioned incarceration.
Yeah.
And this is his first time ever showing up here.
Yeah.
So they start threatening, they threaten you with incarceration right off.
Yeah. No, go ahead. What were you going to say?
Well, what they've done to those people in D.C. on the 6th.
Oh yeah, the people in GC that are illegally detained.
And they muzzled them too. No one could interview them or talk to them.
So, and here's the other thing is, these judges often like to put gag orders out. These gag orders, I believe, violate our constitutional right of free speech. It's a prior restraint on free speech, and that also is illegal. Gag orders, I believe, in many instances are illegal and should be disregarded. And we need to challenge this at the Supreme Court so that these judges will start to act in a manner that is worthy of being a righteous judge. Even in the New Testament, Jesus talks about the parable of the unjust judge and the widow who came to the unjust judge. There are unjust judges, and the only way some of these unjust judges start to change their ways is if we put pressure on them. So right down here, the 420 North 6th Street in Waco, Texas, Judge Phillip Arrien. He is a Title 4D judge. I believe he has issued illegal orders. I do not believe that he should be able to exclude people from the courtroom. That violates the open court doctrine. All courts in Texas shall remain open. And Larry, once again, thank you so much for being here.
Well, thank you.
We will talk with you again. And you know what? We're gonna take this thing. We're gonna take this fight. We are gonna fix these courts, these corrupt courts, these courts of iniquity, these courts of injustice.
I believe it can be turned around. We need it.
Yeah.
The whole country needs it.
Absolutely. Well, Larry, once again, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Right.
Thank you. Bye now.